Who is Lewis Hamilton's best teammate? In this video we will try to determine which of these drivers and former teammates is Lewis Hamilton's best teammate. Lewis is widely considered to be F1's GOAT, so it should be pretty interesting which of these drivers gave him a run for his money. Mind you though, these interpretations of facts are subjective. Please let me know in the comments what you think and don't forget to like and subscribe. In 2007, Fernando Alonso was Lewis' teammate, and it was one of the most toxic camaraderie of the century. They did not get along, and it didn't take long for Fernando to realize he should get the heck out of there. After 2007, Heikki Kovalainen was Lewis' teammate for 2 seasons, a bit of an invisible Finn, currently involved in golfing and rally championships. In 2010, Jenson Button joined the All-British squad. As a former world champion, was he the guy that could keep up with Lewis? Nico Rosberg ran away with the world champion trophy in 2016, but was he really that good? Valtteri Bottas was Lewis Hamilton for a staggering 100 races. The ultimate team player? The ultimate wingman? Or did he get in the way? The last teammate is George Russell, next in line to be a British GOAT nominee? Let's see. First up, it's qualifying. Who could match Lewis on one lap pace? If we look at the average time difference in qualifying, we can tell that Heikki Kovalainen was far off Lewis' pace. In his first season he was doing okay, but in his second year the McLaren was a tractor. And where Lewis could improve during the season, he decided he wanted to keep farming throughout the season. The impressive stats come from Fernando, Nico and especially George. They really showed up at qualifying, with George only being 0.1% off Lewis' pace. The next stat we will be looking at is average starting position. We noticed that Lewis had the worst cars in the Heikki and Jenson era, just by looking at both cars' average starting positions. But what is especially sad is Jenson only managed to outqualify Lewis in 14 out of their 58 races together. Jenson had a very bad qualifying streak in his last season in the team, averaging position 8 in qualifying during the first 10 races of the season, taking revenge with a massive pole position at Spa-Francorchamps. Heikki Kovalainen only managed to outqualify Lewis 9 out of 35 times. Even Valtteri, who is not a terrible qualifier, couldn't keep up with Lewis. In just 29% of their races together, Valtteri managed to outqualify his teammate. Once again, the qualifying attempts of Fernando and George are right up there. Next up are the racing results. A surprising fact is that we see Heikki, Nico and Valtteri were losing positions on average. As far as Nico and Valtteri are concerned, they already started at the front many times, so the only way to go was down. But Heikki sadly managed to lose positions despite being somewhere in the midfield. What didn't help were his 7 DNFs in an 11 race streak. Fernando and George were the only ones noting a lower average finishing position than Lewis, with the remarkable fact that George almost won 3 places per race on average. It shows the 2022 Mercedes car is a great racing car, but a midfield 1-lap car pace on most occasions. Nico was right up there with Lewis in terms of finishing positions. Compared to other seasons, they both ended up in the top 3 often, and Mercedes had great reliability. In the 4 years they drove together, Nico only had 8 DNFs and Lewis had 7 DNFs. In 4 seasons, with the most famous DNF being the one in Malaysia, which cost him the championship. In the last 4 races of 2016, Lewis and Nico scored a 1-2 each race, in that particular order, but that still wasn't enough for Lewis to become world champion. At last we look at the most important stat of this graph, total points scored. The 2 drivers that were simply outscored by Lewis on a regular basis are Heikki and Valtteri, only scoring 51% and 69% of the points Lewis scored. Nice. Just by looking at these stats, we can confirm how well George is doing during his first season at Mercedes. Jensen's point number is also impressive, especially considering his poor qualifying efforts. But it is also explained by the fact Lewis had one of the most unreliable cars ever in 2012, where he scored 6 DNFs in the last 13 races. It was just a coin flip whether Lewis would finish the race or not. Alonso's stats are also as consistent as ever, equaling Lewis in total points. But keep in mind, it was Lewis' rookie season. So it's fair to say Lewis' performance was even more impressive, taking it to the 2-time world champion that is Alonso. Just by looking at these stats, here's my top 3 of Hamilton's teammate. In third place, it's Fernando Alonso, equaling Lewis in qualifying and in race pace, but only in third because it was Lewis' rookie season, making these numbers a little less impressive. In second, it's Nico Rosberg, who was just a tad slower in qualifying than Lewis, but almost just as consistent. And in first place, no surprise there, it's George Russell. Although he hasn't been around as Lewis' teammate as long as some of the others, his performance this season is impressive. It just shows the tall Brit is the type of guy that can challenge Lewis all the way. It is very exciting to see how this will evolve during the next 2 seasons.